Hi, I'm Steve Sample with Bama Talk. Don't miss a single episode of Bama Talk Show, available now on iTunes, Stitcher, or your favorite podcast app, and on the web at bigbrainsmedia.com.
This is your Weather Xtreme video for Saturday, July the 27th. I'm meteorologist Brian Peters. Thanks for tuning in. Looks like we have some interesting weather going on and some uncertainty for the forecast, but we'll get to that in a second. There's a look at the Skycam network from Birmingham. We see some clouds, but we also see a few breaks, although I think today is going to be a mostly cloudy day for the most part. Clouds certainly at Demopolis as we look down the Tombigbee River. The radar this morning showing a large cluster of thunderstorms, an MCS, mesoscale convective system, over southern Mississippi and parts of Louisiana. That system generally traveling to the south and southeast. It's a surface map. We do have a little bit of a boundary across the area, and we're getting a little weak surface low moving along that boundary across the Southeast U.S. The main surface low is up in the Great Lakes with a cold front trailing down into I guess you'd call it the mid-Mississippi River Valley, and that could bring us some drier air in the upper atmosphere. We have a closed low over the western Great Lakes with a nice trough digging down into the southeastern U.S. that's allowing that front to get down here. We don't see those fronts getting down here too often in the summertime, but it certainly looks like we could see the front at least get into the area, perhaps a little further to the south. Temperatures this morning generally not too bad, ranging from about the mid-60s to around the lower 70s. Tuscaloosa the warmest at 73 and a little bit cooler over there at Gadsden with 66 degrees. QPF-wise, along this boundary that's going to be sticking around, we're expecting most of the rain to occur over the next 5 days. Storm Prediction Center is not outlooking much in the way of severe weather. We do have the risk of severe weather down across South Alabama with that MCS, and probably won't be a great deal, and the only threat would be that of damaging wind. And on day 2, no organized severe thunderstorms are forecast at all. Tropics remain somewhat quiet. We're dealing primarily with Dorian. Dorian continuing to move on a westerly track. There's the official Hurricane Center forecast, expected to become a depression later today. As it continues to fight poor conditions down there. Computer models generally in fairly good agreement on a westerly track, taking it eventually over towards Cuba. And let's not forget the Pacific. There's a look at Flossie, and Flossie expected to affect Hawaii late Monday. All right, the 06 EGFS model run, and there's our surface map for today, and you can see the MCS down over southern Mississippi, and in the upper atmosphere, the trough with the main closed low over the western Great Lakes, but a nice trough coming through the southeastern U.S., kind of rounding the bend on the bottom of the trough there. And if we look at the NAM's high-resolution composite reflectivity chart, you can see that the greatest threat for showers and thunderstorms should be across the southern half of the state of Alabama, generally from about Birmingham southward. When we get out to Sunday, the closed low has moved over into what I'd call the middle Great Lakes, and that trough has that shortwave trough that's rounding through the bend. The bottom of the trough has moved out over the southeast coast of the U.S. So the GFS suggesting that we could be getting into some drier air. The big uncertainty here is going to be just exactly how far to the south that drier air will get. If you look at the MOS guidance numbers, it certainly indicates that it's going to get down into this area, but maybe not all the way down into South Alabama. The closed low continues to migrate off to the east and northeast on Monday, and that's certainly pulling the trough away from us. And it looks like we do stay dry with a surface high over the western Ohio River Valley. By the time we get to Tuesday, though, the ridge has begun to nose its way across the southeastern U.S., and so we should be returning to isolated showers driven primarily by the diurnal heating. We see that the ridge is with us on the 31st, the last day of July, on Wednesday, but it's beginning to pull back to the west a little bit. And as that happens, I think moisture returns once again, and we see a general chance for showers driven a little, maybe a few more, but still scattered. Driven primarily by the heat of the day. that overall troughiness with we're right on the boundary between the ridge and the trough. So, but we've in that northwesterly flow, and as we've mentioned before, and as we saw last week, we got to watch that northwesterly flow for the possibility of MCSs coming down in that flow. The ridge seems to maintain or strengthen just a little bit. It maintains itself and strengthens just a little bit over the southeastern U.S. with the main westerlies well to our north, but you see a fairly strong shortwave moving past Chicago and Lake Michigan there, and that would certainly show up with a pretty good chance for rain up that way. For us down here, we stay in pretty much the daily chances for showers and thunderstorms. A week from today, the pattern isn't changing much, and it looks like just those daily chances for showers and thunderstorms. Hate to have a monotonous forecast, but that's kind of the weather pattern that we're in. As you see, the trough is not quite as strong, so we could be warm with temperatures getting up into the lower 90s. And don't have all the extended forecasts out there, but going out to around August the 5th, and we can see that the overall troughiness pattern stays with us, with the ridge primarily across the western U.S., and this is, again, the 5th of August, so it looks like not a great deal of change, and certainly at least no sign of any extreme heat for us to deal with. Well, that'll do it for the Weather Extreme video for this edition, and we'll expect to have the next one posted first thing on Sunday morning by at least 8 a.m. or so. In the meantime, I hope that you have a great Saturday, and Godspeed.
Thank you for trusting us to be your #1 source for news
in all of Central Alabama.
in back-to-back ratings periods.
More people watched ABC 3340
than any other station in Birmingham.